Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Realtor Nation podcast, episode 7. My name is Ian Hoover, and I am the host of this podcast, and I'm very excited to bring to you the Realtor Nation, a show to help you improve your business. My goal is to bring you some of the most successful agents in the business and ask them the questions that everybody wants to know. 87% of real estate agents fail. It's time to change that. The agents I'm interviewing have not only succeeded, but they're truly some of the most talented agents in the business. Today, I'm with Athens' own Sean Anthony. Before we get started, I'd like to talk about his impressive resume. Sean has been licensed since 2015. He's licensed in both Pennsylvania and New York. Last year, he sold over 70 homes with a volume of over $8 million in an area where the average home sale is only $129,500, and that was in his second full year in the business. Wow. So without further ado, I'm going to bring to you Sean Anthony. Welcome, Sean.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ian.
Thanks for coming on, man, taking the time out of your day. I really appreciate it. I want to start by you telling us a little bit about your journey. How did you get into real estate?
So it's actually a funny story. My uncle was in the business. He had been doing it for 10 years part-time and didn't really take it seriously. And he said, we were having breakfast one morning. He said, hey, why don't you give real estate a shot? Just do it on the side, do it part-time and see where you go from there. So at the time I was working at a collection bank, funny story, collection bank, and full-time job up there, 40 hours a week. And once we got the classes done, and I got licensed to sell real estate, and literally within 3 months, I had like 10 sales pending. And then the first couple checks came rolling in. And then 3 months after that, I gave my boss my 2 weeks. I actually quit after the first week because I just was getting so busy. I had $100 in my bank account, and I just said, there's no better time than now. So I took that leap of faith, and, I haven't looked back since.
Wow. You know what? It was similar with me. As soon as I took the leap and went, it was no looking back after that. That's a cool story.
Yeah. Yep.
So your uncle was in the business. You're a little bit, obviously, pretty new to the business. So can you tell me about the process of interviewing brokers and how you went through that and how you decided to ultimately end up with the broker that you did?
So that was my first mistake. So if you're a new agent listening to this, I would definitely be more well-versed of who you're interviewing, know what you're getting there. I chose the brokerage. I was with Coldwell Banker originally because that's who my uncle was with. I had no idea. I just had gotten my license. And, I just said, well, I guess I'll go where he's at. And within that first 8 months, I just realized there was better options out there, and I moved my license to Howard Hanna ever since. And they just so much more training. Training's huge. You need to know what you're selling when it comes to the contracts and everything. You need to feel comfortable. So I started with Coldwell Banker with Howard Hanna. But if you're a new agent listening to this, you would definitely interview your brokers and know what you're getting.
Absolutely, yeah. And I made a huge mistake. And oddly enough, I actually did interview a bunch of brokers, and I made a mistake, and I think someday I'll probably end up writing a book about that mistake because it was an epic failure on my part.
Oh, so bad, yeah.
So what's your favorite thing about our business?
So, I'd have to say what I hated most about my other job is that, there's that glass ceiling. You hit that glass ceiling, and had a conversation with my boss before the 2-week notice thing. He's like, Sean, you got to go back to school if you want to go up. You're doing excellent. You're making good bonuses, but you got to go back to school. You do that thing. And the feeling of not having that glass ceiling and just waking up every day and investing time into yourself and essentially running your own business, right? In our real estate industry, that's just the best feeling ever. Knowing that, hey, I'm in control of my life finally.
Yeah, I have to say that's the perk, man. We wake up and we work for us. We don't have to worry about reporting to anybody or doing anything. I mean, obviously we have to report to our clients, but
right. And that's another thing I was going to say is that on the client end of it, it's just an awesome feeling when you find someone in their house and that smile like, hey, this is my dream home. Just being a part of that whole journey for the clients on that end is just it's a great feeling. It's honestly a gift.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm 100% in agreement there. It's one of the best parts about our business. We're actually helping people. It feels like you're doing something worthwhile.
Exactly. Yep.
What's your least favorite thing about the business?
Oh, man. So an objection I had to overcome very early, I would say when I from Caldwell Banker, I made a lot of mistakes with knowing when to let someone go, especially like on a listing side, selling side. So just an unrealistic client. It's just the hardest part with Caldwell Banker. I never did. I just tried to give them everything they wanted. It just wasn't working. I wasn't the right agent for the job or for that person per se. So I'd say the least favorite thing is knowing when to cut ties with somebody that you just can't. You're not on the right and same page, and it's just easier though. So once you learn that, you're in their kitchen. You say, hey, listen, maybe I'm not the right agent for you. Give them some referrals or someone else. It's just tough, honestly. When you have to say that, but once you do it and you realize, well, now I have all this time freed up to work with someone that actually does want to sell, and I'm not wasting any time anymore. So least favorite, but once you learn it, it's a good thing to do.
You know what? Sometimes the best deals are the ones you pass up on.
Yeah.
That's always my rule of thumb there. So
yeah.
From the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep, what's a typical day look like in the life of Sean?
Whew, okay, so when I first started out, and I feel like a lot of new agents get in this struggle where the business runs them, because you wake up and you just got your hands are in all different directions. So my early on, what it looked like is like 6 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning. You get up. I'm huge on morning routines, whether it's going to the gym or going for a run. You just kind of center yourself and keep yourself healthy and active, because hey, what's worth all this, the money you bring in or the wealth you create if you don't have your health, right? So I'm huge on the morning routine early, and maybe try to be in front of your computer 7:30, 8 o'clock, and you're just checking your emails. Social media is huge, just making sure you got stuff planned to post. But going back for that, I was going to say is that was like early on, like 5:30 to 18-hour work days, at least for the past 12 months, I would say. But once you get a team behind you, it's so great, because you just get an administrative assistant is the best hire you can ever make. It seems like a lot of money at first, but the amount of money that person can make you when you leverage your time is just amazing. So my schedule has changed from last year to this year. But it does. The morning routine never changes. You just got to have a really strong morning routine, regardless, I would say.
Yeah, you know what? Gary Keller always says that the most important hire is the first one, and the first one should be an administrative assistant. So
oh yeah, and it's amazing. I couldn't take all the credit for that last year as well, because Stephanie is her name, by the way. Who is now licensed, but in the beginning of the year, without her, 70 sides, there's no way I would have been lost in the paperwork, man. So having her doing all the paperwork, keeping me organized, and allowing me to shake hands, it just worked.
Wow, that's great. So, your average shutdown time, are we talking like 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock?
Well, the past year it was probably like 10, 11. Like I'm talking video editing and Final Cut Pro. I was doing it all. And now it's more like I'm kind of slowing down about 8, 9 o'clock. But before it was, I was pushing midnight, like 2 o'clock in the morning, adding listings. It just gets pretty crazy. But once you're allowed to delegate that time off, better lifestyle, and you're able to grow, which is the most important part.
Absolutely, yeah. You got to balance that work and life, and I've put in a ton of hours in this business too, and I'm probably still guilty of that to this day.
Yeah.
But
yep.
So one of the reasons I do this show is because 87% of real estate agents fail by the 5-year mark. Why do you think that is?
One of the biggest things I would probably say is just have patience. Just trust the process. A lot of people think, they see all the success with the top producers, and they're like, oh, I'm just going to do that in 2 months. It's like a 24-month minimum process from like hard work every single day. And just to trust the process, have the patience, and just stick to the basics. Consistent execution of prospecting day in and day out, and just trust the process.
So you mean on House Hunters, when they show 3 houses and buy one, it doesn't work like that?
No. I can remember my first deal. I did like probably 10 foreclosures my first year, and it's not something exactly, every agent comes in the business, I want to sell $1 million homes. Well, no, man, you got to work your way up. You got to take those $50,000 sales,
Absolutely.
So that's a big part of it. And just have the patience and work your way up, man. It will come.
If you were to start over again today, what changes would you make?
I would definitely do what you had said. Interview your brokerages, know what you're getting. I think the training aspect is very important when you're first starting out. You need to know, you need to be well versed of what you're putting on someone's table, whether it's a sales agreement or a listing agreement. You need to know it like the back of your hands to feel more confident presenting it. That's the first thing. And, second of all, we probably would the admin hire, if I had realized how much more productive I was with the time without, back then, I probably would have did it within the first 5 months. Just put the money aside and do even $1,500 a month, whatever it was, just budget that, because the growth would have been so much more by now hadn't I did that early on.
Okay. I mean, if you don't mind me asking, how did you find your admin?
So admin was a mutual friend, friend of a friend, and she was working at a phone bank as well up a city close by, and had a conversation like, hey, would you be willing to do this? Obviously there's no health insurance or anything, but let's see where this goes. You can probably work from home 3 out of 5 days, kind of use that way, and it worked. It was just a friend of a friend. It kind of just clicked from there.
Wow, you got lucky there, huh?
Oh, super lucky, because from what I hear, the admin hire, you got to put a lot of trust in that person. Passwords, there's just a lot that goes into it.
Absolutely.
Which, funny story, the administrative assistant and I had ended up getting so close, we ended up dating, and now she's became a buyer's agent, and we're a team, and we rehired her job out.
Wow. So are you still dating then?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so a little bit of workplace romance going on. I've been trying to get my wife to get her license, and she pretty much told me she doesn't ever want to work with me. So I guess I'm never going to have that.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so obviously we've already talked about this, that you don't do it alone. So let's talk about your team. Why did you start a team?
So I keep going back to this, but the biggest thing is leveraging the time. I realized quickly what I was really good at, and what that was just being in front of sellers and taking listings. And when I was looking at my day, I'm like, I wrote down everything that was taking me a lot of time. Like, I called it the time suck. And I'm like, okay, this takes an hour, this takes an hour. And I'm like, how can I delegate that to somebody else and allow me to get more listings, which, brings everything else. So it's kind of, it was really eye-opening to just take the time and write everything down and know what I could actually delegate and what I didn't need to be doing. And it all started with that.
I love the time suck. I'm going to have to steal that one.
Yeah, that's a big thing, man. I was spending so much, inputting listings. If you told me to input a listing, I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to go back to that. It takes 30, 40 minutes.
Right. Making sure there's no errors, checking up on everything, editing the photos.
Public remarks, that was something I was terrible at. And I was just like, oh my goodness, I need someone with a creative mind to do this. So.
Absolutely. So how is your team structured?
So right now, we started with just an administrative last year, and now she has rolled into the buyer's agent role. She's a lead buyer's specialist. And then she trained her job out to be the administrative assistant, which we rehired. So it's just a team of 3 of us right now. I'm actually interviewing a couple more people this week as far as adding another buyer's agent. There's so many different models that work, but I feel like, especially in our area, what's going to be the best is just focus on me listing, bring some buyer's agents to, capture more market share, and then have one person, whether it's a transaction coordinator or just administrative, doing everything else to keep us all organized.
Okay, and if you don't mind sharing, how are you going to split the pie up?
So the pie, so right now I believe, not exactly sure what the actual split was, but I get basically the administrative assistant's pay gets withheld at the brokerage. So that's off the top. So she's a W-2 employee and the brokerage pays her. So that's not even income I see. So say I get a $20,000 commission check, goes to the brokerage, right? The brokerage takes the administrative pay and withholds it into a brokerage account, and then that pay comes out of their account to her. So she's a W-2 employee.
Wow.
And then after that's taken off, my buyer's agent is on a percentage split. So whatever the percentage that is that we worked out, she would get that off the top as well before, franchise fees and anything else.
Okay. So that's pretty cool that your brokerage runs the administrative through them, so they can be a W-2 employee.
Exactly, and that's why I say find the right broker, find what they offer, because it's awesome. That's the income I don't claim because I don't see.
Absolutely. So the saying I hear all the time in our business, you have to spend money to make money. What's the best free way to generate business?
Oh man, this is one of my favorite questions. And some people appreciate this. It's just raw hustle, man. What I built this business on originally, even in the foreclosures, just door knocking. I cold called. Just get out there and just get on the phone, pick up the phone and call somebody, or pick. If you're doing an open house, or if you have a listing, there's a good one. If you're doing an open house, pick like 10 houses around, door knock, and say, hey, just want to give you like a VIP invite to this open house. We're going to be doing it this time. Figured I'd invite the neighbors for the first hour, or something like that. Just get in front of people. That's the biggest thing.
Absolutely, especially if you're a people person and you're good with people. The more people you talk to, the more people want to do business with you.
Exactly. Yep.
Our industry is changing so much. Seems like every single day something changes. Where do you think our industry will be in the next 10 years?
Man, that's really crazy. I just seen Recode. I follow them on Facebook. They were posting about like virtual, like people would put on goggles and they're just walking through the house in like a Matterport tour, if you're familiar with that. It's just like on the goggles, and they don't even have to be in the house. They just have to like log in, and they're just like walking through the house. It's such a hard question to answer because there's so many variables, but I do foresee like virtual tours, like even if it's me, like a holographic me pops up, and you don't even have to be there. You just walk them through the house and a recording. I really think that's going to be the holographic, or even voice, something with voice in the future, where we don't even have to be present for showings. It's actually kind of scary.
It is a little scary. The one thing I heard recently is that there's a couple companies trying to come up with almost like an Hoover model, to where an agent will get a ding on their phone saying there's a buyer that wants to see a house nearby, and you go show them the house, and you get a fee for showing them the house, and then obviously get a commission if they buy the house, which I guess would be kind of cool, but also a little weird at the same time.
It would be weird, but I think the market's going to change. Like you said, it changes every day. As long as we just stay in front of it and we're providing the most value and the best customer service, I feel like there's always going to be a need for that emotional connection through the real estate transaction.
Absolutely, you can't replace a good team member. That's what we are. We're a team member. We're here to help them, just like the closing attorney, just like their actual attorney. You need a good team around you to buy real estate. So
exactly. It's
hard to believe you ever struggled. It really seems like you haven't. You hit the ground running from the start. But I'm sure there was a point when you were struggling a little bit. What was that point like, and how did you get through?
So the biggest struggle, I would say, is that when you make a couple checks and you think, okay, I've done it. I made the checks. I'm a full-time realtor. The biggest struggle was probably not putting that money where it should have been, whether it's a shopping spree, whether it's just paying for something that you get too far ahead of yourself. The money management aspect when you first start out is so huge. If I could go back, I would just allocate the funds, whether it was savings account, or instead of spending $600 all at once on bomb, just try to find an alternative route that was more cost effective, because so many people, they spend it too fast and they get out, and then they're just getting that like, sink or swim mentality. I have to land this sale or I'm not going to pay my bills. It's just the worst mentality to get into, because then you just look like that salesman. We don't ever want to be the guy that's too pushy.
I feel like you're reading my mind right now, because the next question I was going to ask you, it's tax time. How do you prepare for your taxes?
So the first year I ended up, writing a pretty big check to the IRS because I did not do my due diligence as far as saving the receipts and just being more organized. So learned my lesson real quick. I think every agent should have to go through that, honestly, because once you go through that and you feel that hurt of all that money leaving you, you just know that, hey, I am not going to make this mistake that next time. And that goes back to the, hey, fail early, fail often, learn from it, right? So so the following year, I started an Excel tracker, got Quicken, something to do with QuickBooks, I'm sorry. And, you just input everything. Every receipt is filed into a certain place, and you really prepare yourself. So when it comes tax time, all that money you're spending throughout the year on your business, you can really make sure you're allocating it, writing it off, and save yourself a lot of money.
Now, do you save money throughout the year? How exactly are you putting the money aside to pay the IRS or Uncle Sam?
Okay, good question. So 20%, every every commission check that I get, 20% of it goes out into a separate bank account. I created the bank account after I made my mistake shortly into 2017, the first month in January. I got that bank account opened up, and I'm like, listen, every bonus check I get, 20% of that is going into here, and we're just going to forget about it. I don't even have a debit card to it, and it kind of just sits there. And tax time, it's like, if I only pay 15%, I just got a 5% bonus.
Well, that's the way to do it. I find myself not saving enough, and then scrambling around to save more money before tax time, and then I save a ton of money, and then I realize, like, oh, I actually did better keeping track of my records, and I actually have a little tax refund now, so it's kind of an ebb and flow. Do you own any real estate yourself to help with tax time?
I don't. So this year will be the first year I'm actually looking into buying a multifamily home and renting one half out, living the other. So finally making the plunge into that.
Yeah, that's what I recommend to all new agents is, we have an advantage. We have the MLS and other deals just falling in our lap, and we don't have a 401k. So you have to plan for that. You have to plan for the future. And then, of course, come tax time, those are a beautiful write-off for us, to have those rental properties under our belt.
Right. Definitely. Yep. So can't wait to get into that game as well. Meeting a lot of investors through the process too, so just getting to, when you're selling to the investors, it's like you just kind of learn from them as well.
Absolutely. Now, I see the board behind you. How important is goal setting to you?
Oh, huge, man. We actually have two boards. This one is what's under contract, active buyers, and then a to-do list. I have to-do lists everywhere, whether it's on my desk or on my phone. But I also put it up there because you really need to stay focused throughout the day. And the other board that you can't see over to your left or right, either way, that's what the listings are. It's kind of like what we have in our brokerage, what listings our team has, what the sales are, what our goals are. I would say it's very important as far as goal setting and staying motivated to it. I'm huge about Grant Cardone. I'm sure you've heard of him with 10Xing your goals. Just set those ridiculous goals, because even if you fall short, you're still doing pretty good.
Yeah, if you shoot for the stars, maybe you'll land on the moon, right?
That's a good one.
What's your 5-year plan?
So 5-year plan, I want to grow this team to about 5 people. Don't ask me why 5 people. It's just something that sticks in my mind. We have 2 more people to do that. And, I feel like the last hire would be me, hire myself out, which is just the listing agent, the lead generation guy, and let the model run for itself. And then I'm really interested in tackling a speaking career, whether it's nationally or worldwide.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Just to help everybody, the new agents, like you said, that are struggling, just open their mind, help them make mistakes, don't make the mistakes that I did, and kind of see where that goes.
That's fantastic. See, you're perfect for our show. All right. So everybody has a mentor. So who is your mentor, and how did they help you?
My broker actually, at Howard Hanna, I have both of the brokers I'm very close with. His name is Raul. He's the associate broker, and then my broker of record is Thomas Severi. Both great mentors. When early on, I was thinking I know everything. I got a couple deals behind my belt, and just the amount of personal growth that took place in the past 12 months, just having, they're both over 60 years old, just having that insight of just they've been in the business forever. They've been through everything, and just the mistakes that they have made, they've talked to me about. It's nice to have the mentor to go to even if it's a small problem, you give them a call, you get their input on it. There's nothing more important than surrounding yourself with the people that you want to become. That's
fantastic. Yeah, my mentor is actually now my partner in our brokerage, and I wouldn't be anywhere without him. He's shown me so much, and just having that person you can rely on with experience, it matters.
Yep. definitely. Something to say to that real quick, Ian, is, you know, God bless them, my friends, beforehand, but we used to have so much fun together. You go out, drinking, you're doing the whole weekend thing, but man, it just, that you wake up the next day, you're like, oh, what's going on here? And this was like very early on in the career, even like before Caldwell Baker, before I actually got licensed. And you just got to realize, like, hey man, I love you, but I can't hang around you anymore because I got some responsibilities, I got some things to do. It's hard talk to have, but you really need to surround yourself with the people that you want to be like.
Yep, you are the top 5 people you hang around with.
Exactly.
How do you balance work and life?
It's a hard question. I say this is one of my weakest points ever. I'm the kind of guy I don't want to say like OCD, but just like the goals in mind. I just got to get there. So one of my things that I'm actually working on right now is trying to do that, planning for vacations, taking that week-long break, because these past 2 years have just been go, go, go. And that's all I've been doing is work. I feel like that's all I know, but makes me happy. But there are some times where I'm like, man, I need a break. So how do I balance that now? Blocking time off in my schedule and making sure I'm at least booking 2 vacations a year.
I like it. So you are in a relatively small market.
Oh, tiny.
Talk to me about that. What challenges does that, present, and then what benefits does it have to working in a small market?
So challenges, first off, I was the youngest agent in my market. I had a lot of people, door knocks, listing appointments, like why would I go with you? So-and-so's been in the business 30 years. Everybody knows them. It's word of mouth town, right? So that was one of the biggest obstacles. And, the way I overcame it was just persistence. They really appreciated like the follow-up after the door knock, sending them something in the mail. Like, but you're going to think I'm crazy, but even before the meeting, I write a personal handwritten note, say, thank you for the meeting. I look forward to assisting you with your real estate goals. That goes in the mail before I even get to the appointment. So they said the persistence part was the way to overcome it.
I like that. What do you feel is the best part about being in a smaller market?
Best part about the smaller market, obviously you have less competition, but it's easier to stand out, I would say. There's, I think, 3 or 4 of us that are the millennial generation, I would say, in our market. But it's really easy when a lot of the people in my market are, I would say the average age in our board is probably like 40, 35, 45 years old. Most of them are just jumping on the social media train. I would argue they're probably like 3 or 4 years late. So, it was easier to stand out in the smaller market, I would say.
Gotcha. How many agents are there in your market?
So I'm a member of 2 boards. My primary, because I'm in New York and PA, on the New York State side, there's 296 members, and on the Pennsylvania side, there's only 96. So when you're talking about that, when I say easy to stand out, I mean we come demographically from a valley area with the 3 cities, Athens, Sarah, and Waverly, 22 to 25,000 people. So that's just on the PA side, but either way, it's a small market.
Yeah, you know what? I always think of Pittsburgh as a small market. I think we got about $40,000 on the average purchase price on you guys, and we have about 5,500 agents in the West Penn multi-list, and wow. It's a lot of competition.
Yeah, there's a lot of competition there for sure.
Seems like everybody knows somebody's aunt or mother that's an agent, and you're like, Jesus, man, how do you know so many agents?
And that was another big one. I'm glad you brought that up, Ian, is that it's such a small area. Somebody knows somebody, and it was a hard thing to overcome for me too, because they're like, well, my cousin, of course your cousin is in real estate because it's such a small area. I'm sure we're all related somehow. But, another objection handling for that I like to use is just, well, I appreciate that. It's your cousin, you show empathy, but do you really want your cousin involved with the finances? You kind of take that route and it opens people's eyes up. Well, yeah, you got a point there. So.
Yeah, I really don't want my cousin to know that I'm pocketing an $80,000 check, and
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good approach. I never even thought to point that out. I have won a couple of the family battles, but it's more just because they're part-time agents or whatever the situation is. So
Yep. Part-time hobbyist. Another good thing you brought up is that, on the PA side, out of the small members there are, I mean, I think 20% of us are actually full-time. A lot of them are just part-time hobbyists. So,
Yeah, and I always go back to the commercial. I think it's a H&R Block commercial or something where the plumber's like underneath the sink, and the guy's like, "Don't I know you from somewhere?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I did your taxes." Like you don't want somebody who's filling your prescriptions also selling your house. It's not a
exactly.
You want somebody who can focus on it 24/7.
Exactly.
Well, Sean, we're getting towards the end here. I'm going to go into the blitz round. The same 5 questions I ask every single person that comes on.
Okay.
What is your favorite technology tool?
Oh man, Facebook by far. Facebook and Snapchat is upcoming. It's funny. I got a couple leads off Snapchat just this week because Sally's daughter will just say, Sally's daughter sees, oh mom, I seen you were looking for this house. Look at this. Sean just posted this, and tells mom about it. Mom calls me. So Snapchat, I feel like is going in big. Instagram stories and Facebook advertising. Oh, it's just the ROI is so awesome there.
Yeah, you know what? I might have to pick your brain off the meeting one of these days because I'm very proficient on Facebook and Twitter, but I probably dropped the ball on Instagram and Snapchat and Pinterest and all the other social medias that you can really take advantage of.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, Snapchat and Instagram are huge right now. I mean, there's people like clicking on sponsored ads or buying $1 million houses with Bitcoins,
Absolutely. I think I might know the answer to this, but maybe I'll be shocked because of some of the things that you said. What's your favorite real estate book?
Favorite real estate book? One of the first ones I ever read, and I attribute it to my whole model that I'm doing right now with this team, is it's a legendary book, but everybody knows it. Gary Keller, Millionaire Real Estate Agent.
That's what I thought.
The models in this book, I actually have it hanging on the shelf behind me that you can't see, but it just opens your eye up to say, hey, real estate career or real estate business owner. And once you see the differences between them, it's just black and white.
Yep, I kind of figured the way you talk and the way you talk about your business, I'm like, he's a Gary Keller fan, I bet. So
yeah.
If you were not an agent, what would you be?
You know what? It's just funny. I was talking to my girlfriend about this. If I had to do it all over again, this is going to be weird, and it's probably just because I had a huge obsession with the Suits episodes on Netflix over the wintertime, was to become an attorney. I think I did it all over again. I'm hanging around them a lot, and I don't know exactly why, but I just love the competitive nature of the field, honestly.
You know what? I also would like to be an attorney. However, I do not like school, and another 7 years of school, probably not up my alley.
Exactly. So that rolled through my mind. I'm like, I'll just, if I had to do it over again, I'd be an attorney. And then I thought about all the school behind it, and I'm like, yeah, no.
What's your favorite hobby outside of real estate?
I love to golf. When I have the time, I love to just get out there. It's just so relaxing. Even you get a couple. Well, in this case, it's my brokers, but we go on a golf trip, whether it's to Florida or wherever we go or local. Just one of my favorite things to do. That and tennis. Just anything to kind of get out there, stay moving, and stay active.
What's your average in golf?
Oh man, I'm an 80s golfer. I hate to admit it. Probably mid 80s, but
You're a lot better than I am.
Yeah. Well, everybody I play with, they're like, 70s, 60s, they're shooting par. But, it's one of those things you just got to keep playing to get better. And, that's the hardest part in our business. It's so sporadic that, hey, when I'm free, I'm hitting the golf course kind of thing.
I play a couple of times a year, but I am not good whatsoever. I won't even bring up my scores.
Yeah.
What's your dream vacation?
Dream vacation. I've always wanted to go to the Belize. You ever see that like diving hole in Belize? Just man, I can't even explain it. The diving hole there just would be cool. That in Australia, go to Australia and just cage dive with great white sharks. That would be like the experience of a lifetime.
My wife is terrified of sharks, so I'd have to go on my own, I guess.
Yeah, that'd be something. Actually, in the Bahamas on my cruise a couple of years ago, we did Atlantis. I'm sure you've seen the commercials in the South Bahamas. And we did the shark walk in Atlantis where you get in the cage full of 22-foot or 22 reef sharks, which Caribbean reef sharks, like 8 to 12 feet a piece. And you walk the bottom of the tank for 20 minutes with the scuba gear, and man, that was the coolest rush ever. And ever since then, I'm like, I got to do the great whites.
Well, Sean Anthony, and again, I am jealous of your name. Super cool name. You're a super cool dude to go along with the name. Sounds like you're kicking some butt and taking names. I hope we can continue chatting and getting to know each other. But thanks for coming on, and hopefully this helps out some new agent that maybe is struggling or needs to get their butt moving and make some money. So. Yeah,
that would make my day if someone got a hold of me and said, "Hey, watch this podcast," and you motivated the shit out of me to do this. So, man, I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds good. I appreciate your time. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks. Take care.
Well, Realtor Nation, another great interview. I hope you got as much out of it as I did. Sean really is a go-getter and had a lot of great insight. So take that to heart. Maybe you can steal some things for your business and continue to grow. For all other content, please visit our website, dhrea.com/learn. Looking forward to interviewing some more realtors. If you're interested in getting on the show, please email me, ian@ianhoover.com. Until next time, this is Ian Hoover with the Deacon Hoover Radio Network signing off.